Hi guys, just picked this up while we were out for a walk, or while I was out for a walk. Nanny was visiting her friend. Yeah, it's another vape, rechargeable one. 9,000 puffs, which I understand is illegal in this country. Illegal to sell them anyway. But I thought we'd have a look, see if we can get to the module inside. The recharger module, because that's what I'm interested in, and obviously the battery. Doesn't look like it wants to come out that end. Where's my bin? Bin's ready to put the stuff in. Okay, so that's the smelly stuff that we don't want. Okay, is that going to come out? Seems to be caught in there somehow. Let's be a bit more brutal with it. There we go. Well, that got it out. Shot across the room. Okay, so that's pulled the wires off it. Okay, guys, future me now interrupting the video because I'm just doing the editing and realised I was telling you stuff that was completely wrong. So, I'll just use my little pointer, which is a bit of wire that just happens to have fallen off this bit here. In the video, I was telling you this was the charger module. It's not. It is where you plug your USB-C into, but it's not the charger module. If we measure across those two tags, we get 5 volts. The charger controller chip is just there. I don't think I'll have to do a close-up to see if we can actually get the number off it. And I remembered that I've watched a couple of videos that talk about this. Big Clive does one, and there's also one, Toy Hacker, I think his name is. And he actually demonstrated charging the batteries using this chip. And he was doing it on a completely disposable one that didn't have the USB feed into it. But it's the same chip. So that chip there is the one that does the charge controller. On the back of it, I've pulled it apart. On the back of it, it did have 5 tags, but when I opened the vape up, this bit flew across the room and ripped the 2 tags off there. So there should be 5 on there. On the completely disposable vapes, you only see 3 wires. But when they want to make use of the chip to do the charge control, they need 5 wires on there because they need the 2 to go out to the USB supply. This is your actual sensor that I've just ripped apart. You might have noticed in there's actually a little coil of wire there. And I remembered Toy Hacker talking about it being capacitive. And in fact, if I touch it just about there somewhere, you can see the LEDs coming on. So when pressure pushes that lid, it moves that coil around there, and that switches it on. So that, well, I say it switches it on the LED, and it also sends power down that blue wire to the heater coil. But that's the chip, that does the actual charge control. This bit here is purely to plug your USB power supply into it. Looking at the back of it, that may be some sort of voltage regulator, just to make sure it doesn't try and give it 22 volts. Again, I'll try and do a close-up so we actually get the numbers off them. But what comes out of there, out of those two tags, is 5 volts. So that's your USB 5 volts coming out of there. I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm guessing that might be a voltage regulator, because if you're using a fast charger, USB-C fast charger, it can give you up to about 20 volts or something. So that might be there to protect that, but that's a pure guess. But the actual charge control is done on that chip. I'll now try and do some close-ups to get the numbers off them. Well, you can see the number clearly on that one. Right, I think we can see the number on that one too. Could just cut the wires, but I'm trying to get it out so we can see it. There we go. Right, so that's the sensor that detects the air pressure change when you suck. When you suck, that allows current to flow down there, which is the heater element, which is tucked in there. It is only a bit of nichrome wire wrapped around that. Which is soaked in the liquid. Can we see that? Yeah, that's the little heater element. Which, as I say, is a bit of nichrome wire that when it heats up, or when you pass current through it, it heats up. That heats up your liquid soaked into that. And that gives you your vape. And that's our battery, which is quite small, because having gone to rechargeable ones, they can use a smaller battery, spend less money on the battery than they would have before, because you are going to do the recharging, so it doesn't need to last as long. That one, hang on, let's go. There we go. An 18220. So that'll be 18 millimeters diameter. 18? 22 millimeters long. And the 0 at the end indicates that it's a cylinder. If it was a flat battery, then there'd be 2 numbers instead of a 0, giving you the thickness of the battery. So if there was 12 at the end, it'd be 1.2 millimeters thick. Or 20 at the end, 2 millimeters thick. Or, yeah. So 18 millimeters diameter, like an 18650 battery, which you may be more familiar with. But 18650, 1818, the 65 on the 650 indicates 65 millimeters long. The 22 on there indicates 22 millimeters long. I think we've covered that. So heater element, sensor, and then because I ripped it right out, those 2 wires have come off. They probably went on the back of there. Yeah, that would make sense. There is actually a little LED on the back of there that you can't see. It's just a tiny thing, but that's the thing that usually glows. They're usually blue, aren't they? One final thing's just come to mind. We could just see what condition the battery is in. Hold that on there. Dig in there. 3.7 volts. Oh, that's about right. Yeah, that's about the standing voltage when they're discharged. 4.2 when they're freshly charged, and 3.3 when they're getting very low. So, usable. Just looking at the back of this sensor, I think we can just make out where the two pads were that the USB went to. Can I? Yeah, up there, those two pads where they've been ripped off as I pulled it out of the vape. So there should be 5 terminals on there. I've pulled 2 of them straight out. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment so I know how I'm doing. And somewhere up here there'll be some links to related playlists. Thanks again.